As the college entrance exam approached, I paid a top student from a poor background to tutor me. However, he insisted on bringing his childhood sweetheart along to the sessions. I tactfully declined, and he didn't press the matter further, but on the day she left my house, his sweetheart was hit by a car, which led to her dropping out of school and getting married. After that, the top student kept tutoring me. We got into the same university, fell in love, and eventually got married and started a family. During a business dinner, he heard the news that his childhood sweetheart was suffering from domestic violence. He actually locked me, heavily pregnant, inside the house and tortured me to death. If you hadn't caused her to be hit by that car all those years ago, she never would have rushed into a marriage and ended up being abused. You owe her this. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day he brought his childhood sweetheart to my house for tutoring. This time, I won't spend a single cent on that lunatic. 111. Your classmate is here. It was Mom's voice. I jerked my head up from the desk, my hand flying to my lower abdomen. No baby, no blood, no pain. Mom was knocking on the door outside, trying to get my attention. I was still wearing my high school uniform, yet the painful memories lingered in my mind, refusing to fade. I stood there frozen for a long time before I finally understood what was happening. I'd been reborn. In the living room, Zhou Ming and Lin Yu sat somewhat awkwardly on my sofa. As expected, today was the day Zhou Ming was supposed to bring Lin Yu to my house for tutoring. It was also the origin of all my suffering in my past life. On the very day I went into labor, Zhou Ming came home from a business dinner and started beating me. Amniotic fluid mixed with blood pooled on the floor, and the pain was so intense I nearly blacked out. After we got married, we weren't as inseparable as some newlyweds, but we never even had a crossword, let alone lay a hand on each other. I looked at him with a gaze filled with immense shock and terror. What on earth is happening? A dull pain surged through me again. The baby. Tears streamed uncontrollably down my face as I pleaded with him, through gritted teeth, to take me to the hospital. Zhou Ming locked the door and stood over me, his gaze scrutinizing. Zhou Ming, please, help me. I couldn't understand why he was doing this to me. He stood with his back to the light, his face shrouded in shadow. If it weren't for you causing Lin Yu to be hit by a car back then, she never would have rushed into a marriage and ended up suffering domestic violence. This is all what you owe. Yeah, Su Shengwan. It's time you got a taste of what it's like to be utterly alone and helpless. He emphasized the words utterly alone and helpless with particular venom. Blood was flowing ceaselessly beneath me, while Zhou Ming continued to curse me with bitter, hateful words. I was in so much pain, and it was a struggle to piece together the whole story from what he was saying. It turns out that during a business dinner today, Zhou Ming heard from others about Lin Yu being a victim of domestic violence. So, after coming home, he decided to make me suffer everything that Lin Yu went through. Back then, all those years ago, it was just that I refused to let him bring Lin Yu along when he tutored me all those years ago. Zhou Ming is trying to pin the blame for her getting hit by a car on me, and he's held a grudge against me for it his entire life. If that's the case, then why did he even marry me? Why does he accept my kindness with such a clear conscience? At that thought, I clenched my fists, too, seeing me come out. Zhou Ming rose to his feet urgently. He asked, Su Shengwan, Lin Yu's foundation is a bit weak. Could you include her in your tutoring sessions from now on? Lin Yu watched me cautiously from the side, her brow slightly furrowed, as if the whole situation embarrassed her. Zhou Ming gave her hand a gentle pat, signaling for her to relax. I took in every one of these subtle exchanges, facing their hopeful gazes. I shook my head gently. I can't. That's exactly what happened in my past life. I turned Zhou Ming down, and he came to hate me for it. Lin Yu transferred to our school in our final year of high school. She was delicate and fragile in her entirety, like a pure white jasmine blossom descending from the heavens. When Lin Yu was first brought into the classroom to introduce herself, Zhou Ming's attention was immediately captured. Moreover, Lin Yu's family circumstances were rather difficult, with only her disabled father at home. Perhaps there was also a sense of mutual understanding between those who struggled. As Zhou Ming and Lin Yu quickly became close, struggling to keep up with the lessons, Lin Yu would often sit next to Zhou Ming with test papers covered in red crosses, timidly asking, Zhou, could I ask you a question? Zhou Ming would always take the test paper and patiently explain the problem-solving methods to her, showing none of the impatience he had when tutoring me. Once, Lin Yu cried with her head buried in her desk after scoring last in physics. Zhou Ming then nudged her deskmate aside, quietly sat down beside her, and tirelessly handed her tissues. By evening study hall, a densely packed compilation of fundamental knowledge points had been delivered to Lin Yu's desk. All our classmates say Zhou Ming and Lin Yu are a perfect match. which makes my presence feel a bit awkward. But that's not why I turned them down, it's because 3 days before Zhou Ming brought Lin Yu to my house, I accidentally overheard Lin Yu talking with her friend in the restroom. Yeah, I can tell Zhou Ming treats you really special. Are you two together? Lin Yu let out a scornful laugh, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Have you seen how broke he is? Do I look like I'm tired of living the good life? He's just a study tool, that's all. Damn, yeah. Even Su Shangwan has to pay to get Zhou Ming to tutor her. Pfft. With Su Shangwan's brain, she's not going to learn a damn thing, just wait and see. I'll completely steal Zhou Ming away from her sooner or later. Back then, hearing those words, I was trembling with rage in a bathroom stall. Zhou Ming was devoted to Lin Yu every single day, and with it being our final year of high school, I was afraid of upsetting him, so I never told him. I just subtly suggested, time and again, that Zhou Ming keep his distance from Lin Yu. So when Zhou Ming asked if he could bring Lin Yu over to study at my place, I flat out refused on the spot. Lin Yu ran out of my house in tears, and in her distress, she didn't see the traffic lights at the intersection. She was hit by a car and left with a permanently disabled leg. Zhou Ming, his eyes red with fury, accused me openly while secretly weaving an inescapable trap around me. All my efforts turned out to be nothing more than a futile exercise in self-delusion. Paid for with the ultimate price, my entire youth and my very life. Now I've come to understand a fundamental truth: let go of the savior complex and respect the fate of others. 3. Seeing my refusal, Zhou Ming became visibly agitated. Tutoring you alone is tutoring, so why can't we add Lin Yu to study together? Su Shangwan, this is a critical stage in our studies. Can't you stop being so selfish? His glare was so fierce and confrontational that it made me question my own judgment in the first place. In high school, Zhou Ming was top of his class and had a proud demeanor, yet he was so poor he could barely afford a meal. Even though I genuinely disliked studying, I still paid him a hefty tutoring fee to help me with my schoolwork. It was all to protect his pride and self-respect. After graduation, I got him an internship at my father's company and pulled strings to land him a project manager position. After we got married, I even handed over the entire company for him to run. Yet, despite all I did for him, Zhou Ming still wanted me dead. How could I possibly make the same mistake again? Lin Yu chimed in, her limpid eyes welling up with tears. She timidly tugged at the corner of my sleeve, her lips trembling as fat teardrops began to roll down her cheeks. Shangwan, if I don't get into university, my father will force me into an early marriage. Please, won't you save me? I'll be forever in your debt. I'll do anything to repay you. Zhou Ming roared. Are you only satisfied when you've driven Lin Yu to her death? I picked up the cloth from the coffee table and gently wiped the tear stains from Lin Yu's face. What kind of talk is that? Your life is far too precious. I couldn't possibly bear the responsibility. I took out my phone and, right in front of the two of them, transferred 1,000 yuan to Zhou Ming. Zhou Ming's WeChat is still pinned at the top of my list. How depressing. I've transferred this month's tutoring fee. You don't need to come anymore. You can spend the rest of your time focusing on tutoring your sweetheart Lin. I won't get in the way. A look of delight spread across Lin Yu's face as she lifted her head, her eyes shining brightly at Zhou Ming. But Zhou Ming offered no response to Lin Yu. He just watched my little performance, his brow furrowing. He stared at me, his eyes wide with disbelief. What did you say? You're telling me I can't come here anymore? Worried he hadn't grasped my meaning, I repeated myself. Zhou Ming, you don't need to come to my house to tutor me anymore. Lin Yu needs your help more right now. If she doesn't get into university, it'll be the end of her. But, I've been tutoring you for 2 years. Aren't you afraid you won't get into university if we stop so suddenly? Zhou Ming's voice trembled slightly. That's none of your concern. Goodbye. And don't let the door hit you on the way out. Even with Zhou Ming tutoring me right up to the end in my past life, I still ended up choosing to go abroad just for the prestige. My grades didn't improve, and on top of that, I got branded as the one who caused Lin Yuiching's disability. Looking back now, I was a complete fool. Zhou Ming's hands trembled, his knuckles turning white as he clenched his fists. Through gritted teeth, he said, Fine, Su Shangwan, don't you dare regret this. With those final words, he stormed off, taking Lin Yu with him. For, after that day, Zhou Ming began studying with Lin Yu in an even more conspicuous manner. The commotion they made while working through problems was so loud, I could often hear it even with my earplugs in. I've started studying too, but I'm still just getting my bearings with the basics. Lin Yu, as if she couldn't stand to see me studying seriously, came over to provoke me with the textbook Zhou Ming had just highlighted. So, Su, you're hitting the books too, huh? Struggling through the textbook all by yourself, Think you can actually understand it? I've got the notes Zhou Ming just marked up. I could lend them to you if you want. She waved the book around, then covered her mouth with a light chuckle. Sorry, I forgot. Zhou Ming isn't willing to tutor you anymore, so I can't lend you these materials for now. Lin Yu's voice was sharp and grating, drawing the attention of many classmates in the room toward me. Even Zhou Ming, who usually kept to himself, cast a casual glance in our direction. Propping my chin on my hand, I asked her with keen interest, if you have time to worry about how others study, why not take a look at your own single-digit physics grade first? Lin Yu flushed with a mixture of shame and anger. Zhou Ming came over and tapped on my desk. Want to step outside and talk? Before I could refuse, he grabbed my wrist and led me out of the classroom. He took me to the hallway. Leaning against the wall with his lips pressed into a thin line, if you're willing to listen to Lin Yu, I can continue tutoring you. Ever since I fired Zhou Ming, I heard he started working part-time at the cafeteria again. Looks like he's strapped for cash and has set his sights on me once more. He really does take me for a sucker. No, thanks, I refused without a moment's hesitation. Zhou Ming's eyes blazed with anger as he grabbed my shoulders and snarled, what's the problem now? Everything was fine before. I've been tutoring you for 3 years. Or is it that you mind me getting too close to Lin Yu? Su Shengwan, are you jealous? Or are you just playing hard to get? A crowd of classmates gathered, watching Zhou Ming's outburst and whispering as they pointed at the two of us. Zhou Ming had a strong grip, and I struggled to get him to let go. I really don't need you anymore. Let go. It hurts. Zhou Ming just stared at me intently, demanding an answer he wanted to hear. Seeing him like this reminds me of the him from my past life who viciously kicked me in the stomach. Sure enough, those extreme violent tendencies were already showing through at this point, but back then, I saw him through rose-colored glasses and overlooked all his flaws. Just then, Li Yan came over and clapped Zhou Ming on the shoulder. Hey man, what's the point of picking on a girl? Zhou Ming snapped out of it, finally realizing how out of line he had been. Everyone was looking at him. He hated being the center of attention, and now he'd become just that. He quickly let go of me and hurried back to the classroom. 5. It wasn't until I returned to my seat that I noticed Li Yan. He's my deskmate. He's always sleeping in class and kind of blends into the background, but I'm just now realizing he seems like a decent guy. Li Yan was propping his head up, looking at me. Is your hand okay? Only then did I notice a faint red mark circling my wrist. It's fine, thanks for earlier. Li Yan suddenly smacked his forehead and started rummaging through his backpack. After a good while, he handed over a tube of erythromycin ointment. I was a bit surprised. You actually carry this around with you? Li Yan scratched his head sheepishly. I had a pimple a while back, and the doctor said this stuff works. He paused, then asked me earnestly, what's gotten into you? Suddenly hitting the books, did me sending Zhou Ming away just now mess up your plans? I smiled at Li Yan and shook my head. I am serious about studying, but it's not like I'm so desperate that I need Zhou Ming to do it. In my past life, my parents constantly drilled into me the idea that a girl doesn't need to study so hard. Marrying well is better than getting good grades. So, whenever exams rolled around, I'd just skim through my books at the last minute, just enough to avoid a truly embarrassing score. Even when I asked Zhou Ming to tutor me, I was afraid of holding him back, so I never let him give me more than a few lessons. The rest of my time was frittered away on tea and shopping. In the end, I didn't do well on the college entrance exam, so I went abroad to study art for a few years. After returning home, my parents immediately set me up on blind dates and mapped out my entire future for me. I rebelled just that once. To dodge a setup, I lied and said I had to handle something at the office, and that's when I ran into Zhou Ming, who was there looking for a job, right outside the building. He had offended a manager and was in a real bind, so I stepped in and helped him sort it out. From that day on, Zhou Ming started asking me out regularly for meals and movies, reminiscing about our youth, won over by his pursuit. I rekindled my youthful affection for him and we became a couple. After we started dating, he even went so far as to ask my father for a favor, securing him the position of project manager. 2 years later, with his career settled, Zhou Ming proposed. My parents agreed, seeing that although he came from a humble background, he was quite capable at his job. He leveraged me and my family's company to skip years of struggle and climb the social ladder. But I never expected that after marriage, Zhou Ming not only showed no gratitude but also looked down on me. Calling me an empty-headed trophy wife, he began to betray the company's founding principles, drastically raising prices on our product line solely for profit. After my father confronted him, He had the nerve to claim my whole family depended on him and that he was the only one keeping the company afloat. In the end, he even kicked me in the stomach for Lin Yu's sake, after she felt wronged in their marriage, telling me to drop dead, given a second chance at life. I refuse to live under anyone's thumb ever again. I will take control of my own destiny and single-handedly uphold my family's company. 6. Although Lin Yu kept insisting behind closed doors that she looked down on Zhou Ming, the two of them grew increasingly intimate. Gradually, they actually started dating. In my past life, to help Zhou Ming prepare for the grueling college entrance exams, I bought him a steady stream of nutritional supplements and never once refused any study materials or practice tests he needed. In the end, Zhou Ming got into Tsinghua University as he wished, but he credited it all to his own natural talent. I'm genuinely curious now if Zhou Ming, who fancies himself a genius, can truly manage to juggle romance and academics without dropping the ball. I accidentally walked in on Zhou Ming and Lin Yu sharing a passionate kiss in the water room when I went to fill my bottle. With his back to me, Zhou Ming was bent over, holding Lin Yu tightly in an embrace that somehow radiated a restrained, almost ascetic intensity. Lin Yu's eyes met mine over his shoulder, still glistening with a misty, tearful sheen. She let out a deliberate, low murmur and raised an eyebrow at me. Unfortunately, Zhou Ming and Lin Yu were caught by the head teacher that very day. The homeroom teacher angrily summoned Zhou Ming to the office. You could hear his exasperated sigh from a distance. As it happened to be a Friday, their punishment was to go home and reflect on their actions for a week. Lin Yu returned to the classroom in tears. The sound of her crying was too distracting, so I plugged my ears and went back to my practice problems. Maybe it was just my imagination. But Lin Yu kept glancing in my direction, and after school, she seemed to be deliberately dragging her feet, while Zhou Ming waited outside the classroom for her to pack up so they could leave together. I was deep into solving a complex math problem. Was it you who told on me? Lin Yu seemed convinced it was me, her eyes filled with contempt. Before I could answer, she added another remark. No matter what schemes you try, Zhou Ming is still mine, and you are the one I've defeated. Hoisting her backpack with an air of triumph, she linked arms with Zhou Ming and strode off without a care. Watching Zhou Ming and Lin Yu walk side by side into the sunset, their figures receding, I felt a strange sense of unreality. The first time I really noticed Zhou Ming was on an evening just like this. That day, my calico cat had gone missing. I searched frantically, circling the neighborhood again and again. I finally found it outside a convenience store. Zhou Ming was crouched there, feeding a raccoon dog with a sausage he'd bought. The setting sun cast a soft, glowing halo around him. From that moment on, I started paying attention to Zhou Ming. He was a top student, #1 in our class. The only thing was, I heard his family wasn't well off. He even had to work a part-time job in the cafeteria just to afford a decent meal. But he was a proud man and hated being pitted, so I came up with an idea. I'd pay him to tutor me on weekends. Zhou Ming agreed. However, he had his own principles. He would only accept 1,000 yuan a month, and not a penny more. Calling it tutoring is a stretch. We were really just doing homework together. To avoid raising his suspicion, I'd occasionally ask him a few questions, but ever since Lin Yu came into Zhou Ming's life, even those occasional questions of mine started to annoy him. He'd say I was slow, that I couldn't grasp concepts, and that I just wasn't cut out for the sciences. He completely forgot who was there to help him when he was broke and desperate. 7. Finally finished analyzing the solution to that complex math problem, I stretched my stiff neck. The sky had grown dim, and a light drizzle began to fall. I quickly packed up my school bag to head home, but when I reached the door, something felt off. No matter how hard I pulled, the classroom door wouldn't budge. Is anyone there? School had been out for a long time now, and the security office was too far away. Just as I expected, the only reply was the lonely whistle of the wind. It's true that the more desperate you become, the clearer your mind gets. It suddenly hit me that Lin Yu and I were the only ones left in the classroom earlier, so she must have been the one who tampered with the door. Just as I was on the verge of despair, a voice came from outside the classroom. The newcomer was also taken aback and muttered to himself, "Is there really still someone in the classroom at this hour?" Hearing that familiar voice, I was so moved I nearly burst into tears. I immediately shouted, Li Yan, I'm locked in." Li Yan tried the door from the outside after hearing me, and sure enough, it wouldn't open. He told me to stay calm for now. Wait here a second, I'll go get the key from the old janitor. Just then, a deafening clap of thunder roared across the sky. Immediately after, all the lights in the classroom flickered and went out. "Ah!" I shrieked, covering my ears and crouching down to the floor. Li Yan had only taken a couple of steps when he heard a sound from inside the room. He immediately sprinted back and, in his urgency, kicked the door open. The faint glow of the emergency lights from the corridor seeped in through the doorway. "Let's go," Li Yan said, reaching his hand out to me. The rain was still falling as we walked together under a single umbrella. Neither of us spoke, and the silence was a little awkward. "Are you here to get something?" I blurted out, having run out of things to say. Li Yan showed me the book in his hand. To my surprise, it was a math competition study guide. A bit embarrassing, really. I got stuck in the classroom trying to figure out a math problem. I looked down and kicked a pebble at my feet, and Li Yan let out a soft chuckle. I started out just grinding through problems too, but once I got the hang of a few tricks, I realized math is actually pretty straightforward. "If you don't mind, I could share my secrets with you," he said it casually, but his expression was earnest, his eyes fixed on me. Sure, the rain was letting up, and by the time I was almost home, it had stopped completely. From a distance, I could see my mom looking out from the doorway. After a hurried goodbye to Li Yan, I rushed over. She seemed a bit anxious and asked why I was back so late. I told my mom exactly what happened today. My mom is famously protective of her kids. She told me not to worry, then immediately went into her room and called my uncle at the Ministry of Education. The school responded with a decision very quickly. After reviewing the security footage, it was confirmed that Lin Yu had indeed come back after leaving and secretly locked me inside. Given the severity of the situation, the school decided to extend her original suspension by an additional month and issue a formal disciplinary record. The following week, I felt an incredible sense of ease, with Zhou Ming and Lin Yu no longer a grating presence in my life, and with Li Yan's incisive guidance. It felt as if my mind, dormant for so many years, had suddenly broken free from its shackles and began whirring into action. I'm not as hopeless as Zhou Ming made me out to be. I've actually made some progress by putting in the effort. I saw Zhou Ming again a week later. He looked much more haggard than the last time, with deep dark circles under his eyes. Being suspended from school and stuck at home over a relationship must have been rough, but after all that, Zhou Ming showed no signs of settling down. Instead, he came to me and asked me to tell the teacher that the whole incident was just a misunderstanding. Yaya just accidentally locked the door when she closed it. It wasn't on purpose. Su Shengwan, is it really necessary to go this far? Do you have to drive her into a corner? This is ridiculous. The security footage shows it all. So, are you saying Lin Yu accidentally snuck back to school, then accidentally shut the door on purpose and accidentally turned the lock? There's no point in arguing. Some people only believe what they want to believe. I accidentally got locked in for an hour, and then my parents accidentally found out I got home late. If you have any complaints, go talk to my uncle about it. I was very firm in my stance. Zhou Ming stormed off, but he wasn't about to give up. Instead, he went straight to the homeroom teacher's office. According to gossip from a classmate who went to the office to drop off papers, Zhou Ming actually tried to bargain with the teacher, saying that if Lin Yu wasn't allowed back, then he wouldn't come back to class either. Genius is precious, but this school has never been short of geniuses. What's more, his current actions only prove he's a fool. From that day on, Zhou Ming really did start skipping school to keep Lin Yu company. But his behavior didn't soften the teacher's stance. Instead, it became a joke for the other students to gossip about. Zhou Ming actually skipped school for Lin Yu. That's so romantic. Romantic? He's a senior in high school pulling this stunt. Isn't that just crazy? I saw Zhou Ming on my way home from school last time. He was in an alley smoking with Lin Yu and a bunch of people dressed like troublemakers. What? No way. Has our former top student really fallen that far? He hasn't been to class in ages. I wonder if he can still hold on to his top student reputation. The mock exam is coming up so soon. I'm really scared. Li Yan, sitting next to me, nudged me and asked, feeling confident about the mock exam. Absolutely, even though I'm a bit nervous inside. I can't show any weakness. I replied earnestly. Don't worry, master. I will definitely deliver a satisfactory result, so you can see the fruits of your labor over this past month of teaching me. Li Yan held nothing back in teaching me. The level of effort he put in during this time could truly be described as pouring his heart and soul into it. Furthermore, I discovered that he is actually very strong in math and the sciences. The only subject holding him back is English. Li Yan claims he's too lazy to memorize vocabulary and simply doesn't want to learn it. He doesn't need the college entrance exam anyway. He can get into a decent university through a math competition recommendation. Zhou Ming and Lin Yu's suspension period has ended, but Zhou Ming no longer values his studies as he once did. I heard he started dealing in pirated discs with that gang of troublemakers. It was a bit of a shortcut, but it did bring in some cash. He grew increasingly restless, even skipping class every other day to head off campus. 9. Seats for the mock exams were assigned randomly, by sheer coincidence, Zhou Ming, Lin Yu, and I ended up seated in a row, with me sandwiched right between them. Zhou Ming approached me, asking me to pass answers to Lin Yu for him during the exam. You can copy them too, as payment, he said. I was stunned by his stupidity and flatly refused. Zhou Ming, since when did you start playing these self-deceiving games? Zhou Ming paused, his lips pressed tightly together. Just do it as a favor for me. If Lin Yu doesn't do well on this test, she's definitely going to get yelled at and beaten by her dad when she gets home. Sorry, not happening. Li Yan put his arm around my shoulder. If your little girlfriend really wants good grades, she'd have to put in the work and study diligently every day, just like my apprentice here. A flicker of surprise crossed Zhou Ming's face. Apprentice, Su Shengwan, you, I replied to Zhou Ming earnestly, don't ask me for this kind of favor that hurts everyone involved. From now on, keep me out of your affairs. With that, I turned and walked away, not bothering to look back at Zhou Ming's face, which had turned pale and then ashen. The exam ended in a hurry. The difficulty of the questions was exactly as I had anticipated. I didn't manage to solve all the major problems, but overall, it went pretty smoothly. After the results were posted, Li Yan eagerly pushed through the crowd to look, then came back to me, beaming with excitement. Hey, apprentice, guess how many places you've moved up? Around 10 to 15 places, I replied, still buried in my practice problems. You guessed it right on the money. How boring. Because I'm exceptionally sharp-witted, I looked up and replied, just in time to see Zhou Ming, his face deathly pale, pushing his way out of the crowd. Your ex-crush is ranked very close to you this time, Li Yan said with a laugh, leaning in beside me. Ex-crush, please, don't make me sick. I shoved him away, unable to hide my look of utter disgust. How embarrassing. Lin Yu came in last as usual this time, but the speed of Zhou Ming's grade drop was genuinely surprising. I moved up 15 places in the rankings, and he happened to drop by exactly 15, so this time he's only 2 spots ahead of me. Quite a few classmates were already giving him sideways glances, lamenting the fall of a former academic prodigy. Zhou Ming sat at the desk with his head bowed, an aura of gloom radiating from him. With a sudden sharp crack, he snapped the pen in his hand. 10. Soon after, Li Yan's competition exam arrived. As a dutiful apprentice, I personally escorted him right to the entrance of the examination hall. Double-check your things, make sure you haven't forgotten anything, I reminded him. Li Yan casually opened his document folder wide to show me, fully equipped, see, and that's when disaster struck. His perfectly good exam admission ticket had somehow been replaced with a blank sheet of paper. Holy shit, which bastard did this? Li Yan shouted. Good thing I was afraid something like this would happen, so I printed extra exam admission tickets in advance. I quickly helped him pack it up and hurried Li Yan off to the exam hall, after watching his figure disappear into the crowd. I turned and entered a dark corner at the end of the alley. Sure enough, someone was hiding there. A figure in a black mask and baseball cap had been following us for a while, moving furtively. Even though he was bundled up like that, I still recognized him. It was Zhou Ming. Seeing me approach, he looked flustered and pretended not to know me, walking straight ahead. I know it's you. He brushed past me without stopping. Don't you think your methods are despicable? Still no response. Zhou Ming. What you're doing now makes me sick. I deeply regret ever supporting you, I shouted. Zhou Ming's footsteps came to an abrupt halt. He turned to face me, slowly removing his hat and mask. His expression was almost maniacal as he screamed at me with raw, gut-wrenching fury. I just wanted to make sure he couldn't get that guaranteed admission. What of it? Bet he's sweating bullets now, isn't he? What are you so smug about? I just slipped up this one exam. But I'll always be better than you and Li Yan. That pittance of yours isn't even enough to pick my teeth with. I'll make 10 times that in the future. Zhou Ming turned and fled as if running for his life. Watching his retreating figure, I felt no more regret. The aloof, proud boy from my memories had completely fallen. 11. Li Yan said his performance this time was flawless, so he invited me out for some skewers to celebrate, across the street from where we were eating. I saw Zhou Ming and Lin Yu walking hand in hand into a small motel. Afterwards, Lin Yu even brazenly posted a photo of her and Zhou Ming on her social media feed, with that very motel in the background. That photo caused quite a stir among our classmates and quickly made the rounds. They were unabashedly proclaiming the fiery passions of youth. Meanwhile, I clung to the tail end of my youth, burying my head in practice problems. not wasting a single second. The first major mock exam arrived quickly. I rolled up my sleeves and confidently promised Li Yan that I would break into the top 10 this time. Although Li Yan had secured a university spot through a competition, he insisted on staying to take the college entrance exam. I found this utterly baffling, but he refused to explain why. On the day of the mock exams, neither Zhou Ming nor Lin Yu showed up. It wasn't until 2 days later that we found out something had happened. The day before the mock exams, Zhou Ming and Lin Yu had a huge fight over some minor disagreement, and the whole "she runs, he chases" drama played out all over again. Perhaps blinded by rage, Lin Yu lost her senses. She failed to notice the large truck in the distance, and as it bore down on her, she stood frozen in place, motionless. Fortunately, Zhou Ming reacted with lightning speed. He grabbed Lin Yu, pulling her into his arms, and rolled them both out of harm's way. However, the momentum was too great. Their desperate roll only came to a forced stop when Zhou Ming's back slammed against a rock. Zhou Ming was rushed to the hospital that same day. The initial diagnosis was a spinal fracture. "I'm afraid I won't be able to do any heavy labor from now on." The teacher sent Li Yan and me as student representatives to visit Zhou Ming in the hospital, and we brought a fruit basket, even from far down the hospital corridor. We could hear the sound of an argument coming from the room. Zhou Ming, his waist still wrapped in bandages, struggled to drag his upper body forward and clung to Lin Yu's arm, refusing to let her leave. Lin Yu looked at him with utter disdain, unable to shake him off. "Zhou Ming, how many times do I have to say it for you to get it? We're over." Zhou Ming asked her, his voice hoarse. "What about our future? Didn't we promise to stay together forever?" "Future? What kind of future can you possibly offer me? Just look at the state you're in. It's a question of whether you even have a future." Zhou Ming continued to hold him tightly. "Ayue, what about our child? Could you really bear to let them be born without a father?" I was utterly shocked by his words. They were truly reckless, daring to have a child before even graduating. Lin Yu merely responded with a cold, scornful laugh. "Of course not. I've already terminated the pregnancy, Zhou Ming. Don't come looking for me anymore. Let's just part ways amicably." The words hit Zhou Ming like a physical blow. As if all his strength had drained away, Zhou Ming slowly lowered his hand, then covered his face and began to weep quietly. Without a moment's hesitation, Lin Yu strode out of the hospital room. Spotting the two of us outside, she froze briefly, shot me a fierce glare, and never looked back. 12. After that day ended, Zhou Ming seemed like a completely different person, his health not yet fully recovered. He dragged his sick body to class anyway. His back injury landed him in the hospital, and the medical bills nearly wiped out all the money he'd saved up from his days of selling bootleg CDs. But Zhou Ming also cut off all contact with his old gang of troublemaker friends. He went back to his simple 3 meals a day, burying his head in his textbooks from dawn till dusk, as if he were still the same old academic god Zhou, detached from the world. Yet we all knew that everything had already changed. Quietly and irrevocably, Zhou Ming, who once reigned supreme in physics class, now lacked even the courage to raise his hand when the teacher asked a basic question. The 3-month gap in his studies dealt a nearly fatal blow to his academics, especially during the critical, time-sensitive final year of high school. Learning is like rowing a boat upstream. If you don't advance, you fall behind, a truth perfectly exemplified by Zhou Ming's situation. For the remaining days, I didn't pay attention to anyone else. I studied relentlessly, leaving early and returning late, working even harder than Zhou Ming. After the second mock exam, Li Yan looked over my test paper, nodding repeatedly, and said I had a shot at a Tier 1 university. After the third mock exam, Li Yan gave me a thumbs up, saying I had the potential to get into a top-tier university. On the day of the college entrance exam, Li Yan gave my shoulder a firm, encouraging pat. "I'm in the exam hall right next to yours. Don't be nervous." As if, I've lived through 2 lifetimes. I'm not that easy to rattle. But when I actually got to the exam hall, before the papers were even handed out, my hands were already trembling uncontrollably. After all, I know better than anyone how much I put into this. I really want a good outcome. The college entrance exam concluded smoothly, and the results were released 20 days later. I performed better this time than ever before, scoring well enough to get into a top-tier university. Li Yan's English was still as poor as ever, but he ultimately got into Tsinghua University based on his competition results. Zhou Ming's back injury flared up again during the exam, leading to a terrible performance. His score didn't even meet the minimum requirement for undergraduate programs. Zhou Ming wants to retake the college entrance exams, but that would cost another chunk of money. Without my financial support, his life has been thrown back to square one. and he's now locked in a stalemate with his family. Lin Yu didn't even sit for the college entrance exams. She spends all her time with that gang leader who used to get Zhou Ming into pirated disc trafficking, and has become the big sister figure the whole crew looks up to. I heard Zhou Ming went back to that gang leader again, hoping to get back into the pirated disc business to save up for his retake year. To his shock, Zhou Ming happened to see Lin Yu locked in a passionate kiss in the man's arms. Furious, he immediately got into a brawl with the gang leader. The outcome was Zhou Ming getting beaten black and blue, and losing his last chance to make money, 13, in the blink of an eye. For years past, I graduated from the School of Economics, Management, and Trade and successfully took over my father's company. Li Yan had been running his own business throughout college, and now he's become my business partner. We went out for a business dinner, had a few drinks while toasting, and had to call a designated driver to take the wheel. After the car pulled into the garage, the driver for hire lingered. Unwilling to leave, he stared at me for a long moment and asked, "Su Shangwan, don't you remember me?" I studied his face for a long time before I could finally see traces of Zhou Ming in his features. It had only been 5 or 6 years, yet Zhou Ming already had streaks of gray in his hair, his face etched with the marks of time. Seeing that we had something to discuss, Li Yan walked a distance away, giving me space to talk with Zhou Ming. "Xiangwan, you might not believe this, but ever since graduation, I've been having these intermittent dreams. It's as if they're about a parallel version of us, especially in the past year. The scenes in my dreams have grown increasingly familiar. I can even piece them together into a complete, coherent memory. In the dream, you helped me escape Lin Yu's harassment. You stayed by my side, offering support and being my rock. Later, I got into Peking University. After graduation, when I went to your father's company to apply for a job, I ran into you again. Then we naturally fell in love and eventually got married. I was running the company flawlessly out in the world, and you were my perfect partner at home, supporting me in everything. We even had a baby together." Xiangwan, you know, that memory is so vivid that sometimes I can't even tell which was real and which was the dream. In the dream, our future was so bright, so perfect. Why did it have to turn out like this? As he spoke, Zhou Ming's body began to tremble. He clutched his head and began to roar. Why, how did it come to this? As he spoke, he pounded the ground with all his might. The state he was in now was less like a frenzy and more like utter madness. Sensing that Zhou Ming was not in a good state of mind, Li Yan quickly ushered me out of the garage. After that hasty farewell, I never knew how Zhou Ming's days unfolded, but my own life moved on. The patent provided by Li Yan's company integrated perfectly with my company's core business, allowing us to become self-sufficient and establish a complete production chain. By cutting costs, the company grew and prospered rapidly. Within 2 years, 3 new branch offices were opened in 2 neighboring cities. The next time I saw Zhou Ming, it was in a news report about a crime. He stalked and kidnapped a woman, held her captive in a seaside cabin, tortured her for 20 consecutive days, and finally dismembered her body and dumped it into the sea. The woman in the newspaper report was none other than Lin Yu. The aroma of a cooked meal wafted through the air. Li Yan had prepared a lavish dinner. He walked over and gently wrapped his arms around me, asking, "Any big news today?" I changed the channel, returning his embrace. "Nothing much," I said, "just the usual trivial stuff." With the new year approaching, the aroma of a feast fills the house, while outside, plum blossoms bray the wind and snow in full bloom, a sure sign that the coming year will be a prosperous one. Story 2. I've been married to Reed Wang for 3 years. His mistress got cancer and was quickly divorced. My husband wants to sell our house to save her. I don't agree. Later, she died, and my husband pushed me, 3 months pregnant, down the stairs. 2 lives lost. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the time before my husband's mistress fell ill. "Jade, take your time, don't cry." Reed Wang was driving me home from work when he received a call from his mistress, Jade Liang. He gently coaxed the person on the other end of the line, using a tone he had never shown me. In his haste, he slammed on the brakes, nearly causing my head to hit the windshield on the passenger side. Before I could even gather my thoughts, I heard him soothingly say to the person on the phone, "Don't worry, wait there, I'll come find you right away." Reed Wang's handsome face was frosty, not even glancing at me as he pulled the car into the emergency stopping area on the overpass and ordered, "Get out of the car quickly, I have other matters to attend to." Angry and wanting to confront him, memories from my past life flooded in. The face before me overlapped with the ferocious one from my past life. Without another word, I staggered to open the car door and stepped out directly. The scorching July heat in Haishur was unbearable. As soon as I got out of the car, a wave of hot air hit me. Wearing small heels, my heels blistered, and the blisters burst. I was lost in memories, unaware of anything else. I walked for nearly an hour on the speeding highway overpass before finally getting off. Both Reed and I work in the advertising industry. It's just that we're at different companies. My reputation in the industry is well known, and I've successfully secured many difficult major clients. From picking up clients' children from school, caring for their elderly parents in hospitals, to even helping female bosses deal with extramarital affairs, the methods I employ are those that others wouldn't think to explore in depth. Reed Wong once tried to poach a client from me but lost. In his youthful arrogance, he asked a senior colleague to formally mediate between us. I have absolutely no resistance to tall, handsome boys. We got our marriage certificate in less than half a year. It wasn't until after we got married that I found out about the existence of his mistress, Jade Leong. She would call Reed Wong in tears over the tiniest things in life. I was furious and argued with him. I still remember what Reed Wong said at the time. "Nina-san, do you think everyone is like you, carefree and clueless, always laughing like a fool?" Jade Leong was scolded by her boss at work, and when she called him crying, he would always rush over heartbroken to take her out for a meal and give her gifts, going out of his way to cheer her up. And me, being scolded by the boss as well. Reed Wong gave me a disdainful glance. "Why does your boss only scold you? Or is there something wrong with your work? Such obvious favoritism. How did I not see it back then? I want to divorce Reed Wong. Let him and that mistress stay locked together and stop ruining my life. The jewelry bought for the wedding and my salary card, I'm taking them with me. Pack up the clothes and send them via local courier to my parents' place tomorrow." In his past life, he was ready to sell the house to save his mistress. This time, at the time of marriage, each family contributed 300,000 for the down payment, and both our names are on the property deed. At that time, he also mentioned that since his family had put forward this money, they wouldn't be able to give me a betrothal gift. I didn't ask for the betrothal gift anymore. After marriage, he asked, "What about the dowry your parents promised to give?" I was so angry I laughed, and directly retorted, "Doesn't that 300,000 down payment count as a dowry? Is it only fair for your family to turn the bride price into a house down payment, while our family can't turn the down payment into a dowry?" Calculating the time from the previous life, she probably isn't pregnant yet. For safety, make time to get checked. After washing up, go back to the room and lock the door. In the middle of the night, banging on the door, open up quickly." I was half asleep when the sound startled me awake. Recognizing Reed's voice, I suppressed my annoyance and opened the door. Reed stood at the doorway, drenched in sweat, supporting Jade Leong. Jade Leong's face was flushed with color, hardly looking like someone who needed constant support to stand steady. He angrily roared at me in frustration, "Nina-san, are you dead? Took you so long to open the door. Why are these two here to disgust me? Reed, have you no shame? Where's your own key? You dare yell at me when coming back in the middle of the night. Who gave you the nerve?" I pointed at Jade Leong with a mocking smile and asked, "Was it her? Shameless pair. Aren't there hotels outside? Had to bring her back to disgust me." Reed half carried, half supported the seemingly fragile woman to the sofa and settled her down. Turning around, she pointed at my face with a look of disgust and scolded sharply, "Nina-san, don't make trouble. I lost my keys. Jade just had a fight with her husband and has nowhere to go. Is there a problem with her staying at our place for one night?" Jade Leong had long hair cascading over her shoulders, her face was made up, and she carried a faint scent of perfume. Clearly, she had dressed up carefully. She was delicate and on the verge of tears, tugging at the man beside her. "Brother Reed, please don't argue with sister-in-law. It's all my fault, blame me, just let me leave." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching her performance. In my past life, hearing them talk like this would have infuriated me. I will never get angry over these two scumbags again in this lifetime. It's not worth ruining my own health with anger. Reed held Jade Leong's hand that was pulling at him, his previously fierce expression toward me completely gone as he looked at her tenderly and said, "Jade, you mustn't say that. This is my home. I'm letting you stay here, so stay peacefully and don't mind other unimportant people." Jade Leong cast a smug glance at me, then immediately turned teary-eyed toward Reed and said, "Thank you, Brother Reed, you're still the best to me." Then, sister-in-law, Reed stood protectively in front of the fragile woman, glaring fiercely at me. "I'm telling you, Nina-san, if you keep making trouble, we're getting a divorce." "Fine, Reed, we'll go tomorrow. And if you don't show up, you're a coward." I couldn't wait to get divorced, but after the miserable death I suffered in my past life, I won't let them off without payback. How can I face myself and the unborn child? I took out my phone and asked with a half smile, Jade Liang, your husband is Zhang Wen, right? A colleague of mine knows him. Let me get Zhang Wen's phone number and ask him, does he care that his wife is bringing another man home? Jade Liang rushed over immediately, pressing her hands on mine while shaking her head and pleading earnestly, Nina, please don't hit me. I'll leave right away. I promise I will. Watching the woman before me, no longer appearing fragile or needing support, Reed, furious and exasperated, came pushing me while roaring in anger, Nina's son, how dare you bully Jade, do you have a death wish? In his past life, after Jade Liang died, he became extremely depressed. He ran alone to the rooftop of the hospital inpatient building and called me with a hoarse voice, Nina, it's my fault for marrying you and getting you pregnant. In my next life, I'll definitely meet you first, love you first. My face turned deathly pale as I frantically asked repeatedly, Reed, don't do anything foolish, both the child and I can't live without you. Where are you? Tell me quickly. I'm coming to find you right now. How was I to know? He deliberately said that to lure me over. He even forbade me from telling anyone, forcing me to go alone to find him. How could Reed Wong be so heartless? After 3 years of marriage, I'm even carrying his child. I never could have imagined at the time that he tricked me into going just to take revenge for his mistress. At the hospital where Jade Liang died, I died here. The scene of being pushed off the 13th floor of the hospital flashes before my eyes. Killing him instantly wouldn't even begin to quell the hatred in my heart. Slap, slap. 2 hard strikes land on Reed's face. Nina, how could you? Jade Liang shouted at me in shock, taking a terrified step back. My heart was consumed by hatred, my face twisted in extreme ugliness as I waved my hand and slapped Jade Liang twice more. Smack, smack. Reed pulled Jade Liang behind him, shielding her. He grabbed my wrist forcefully and said viciously, don't think I won't hit a woman just because I can do whatever I want. If you keep being this insolent, don't blame me for being impolite. He flung me away, and my back hit the doorframe, sending a wave of pain through me. I closed my eyes briefly, suppressing the fury surging within me. The situation before me was not in my favor. There's no need to confront them directly. There are plenty of ways to deal with these scumbags, Brother Reed. Are you okay? Jade Liang gently touched the man's swollen, reddened face, her eyes brimming with tears. Get out of my house, and don't come back. Without another glance at the two of them, I turned and headed back to my room. A dull pain throbbed in my back. It would probably bruise. The next day, when I got up, the house was empty. I had no idea when they had left. I wasn't in the mood to deal with him. I took the package out of my room and sent it off by courier. I'll take the property deed with me. Mom, I have a package arriving this afternoon. Please remember to wait at home for it. I went downstairs to buy a steamed bun and ate it while walking. What did you buy? Mom, I'm divorcing Reed Wong. I packed my things and shipped them home. Finally squeezed onto the subway during the morning rush hour, with people packed like sardines. Our house is more than 2 hours away from my workplace by subway, with 2 transfers in between. Before buying a car, this was my daily commute to and from work. A year ago, we saved up together, paid a down payment of 30,000, and bought a car for commuting. Since Reed Wong started driving this car, he promised to commute to and from work with me every day, turned into being at the beck and call of a mistress all day, delivering this today and fetching that tomorrow. My parents wanted to spend more money to buy me a separate car, but I disagreed. Why should the car we bought as a couple become the dedicated chauffeur for her, Jade Liang's family? Now I can't be bothered to argue anymore. Just give me back the money for the car, and both the person and the car are yours. After work in the evening, I took a half-hour subway ride back to my own home. Mom, Dad, I'm home. I immediately threw myself into my mother's arms. My accidental death in my previous life caused my parents, who should have been cared for in their old age, to bury their own child, leaving them utterly heartbroken. My soul floated in midair, watching the 2 elderly people in disbelief as they faced my shattered body and wept bitterly. My heart wrenches and aches with pain. In this lifetime, I must never let them go through this again. Father poked his head out from the kitchen, smiling cheerfully and said, wait, your dad made your favorite cola chicken wings for you. My mother pulled me to sit down and urged him to hurry up and cook. Nina, tell me, what exactly is going on between you and Reed? I didn't hide anything and told her all about his ambiguous relationship with his mistress. My father came out of the kitchen with a kitchen knife, his face filled with rage. That bastard Reed Wong, how dare he mess around with other women? Just wait till I go break his legs. Mother gave father a cold glance and asked unhurriedly, what good would breaking his legs do? There's no evidence for any of the things our daughter said. It's all just her speculation. Mother told father to go cook first and not make things worse. This is how our family is. Mother makes all the decisions at home. Mother gently asked me what I planned to do. I explained my plans to her one by one, and Mother nodded, approving of my approach. Nina, your father and I only have you, our one daughter. Our greatest wish is for your happiness. Don't waste time arguing with scum. Heaven will deal with the wicked. I didn't speak, only offering a cold smirk. I thought to myself, if heaven won't deal with them, someone else will. If Mother knew how I died in my past life, she probably wouldn't say such things. At night, Reed Wong called me, his furious voice coming through the receiver. Nina son, why aren't you home yet? It's so late. Are you giving up on life? I held the receiver away from my ear, rubbing my aching eardrum, and replied calmly, Reed Wong, if you don't know how to talk properly, don't call me. Click, hangs up, mute the phone, going to take a shower, wait till I finish my shower and pick up my phone, 36 missed calls, hee hee, thinking about him frantically calling me nonstop. Why does it feel so satisfying? Is there anyone else who feels the same? Put on another face mask. On the 48th call, I gently pressed the answer button. A calm voice came through the receiver, Nina. Have you gone to your mother-in-law's place? Look, he can speak properly too. Reed Wong would never dare to call my parents to ask about me unless it's absolutely necessary. My father has a bad temper, and he's afraid of getting beaten. Reed Wong, I want a divorce from you. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. You can guess he definitely won't go, so just make a fuss first. I have to go to work tomorrow. At this exact time in my previous life, there was a promotion opportunity at the company. The only requirement was needing to relocate to another city. The boss asked me if I could work in another city. I refused without even thinking. Now I realize how foolish I was back then. A 50% salary increase and eligibility for year-end bonuses from the headquarters. In the advertising industry, opportunities come to those with capability. Such a great opportunity. Why did I turn it down back then? No matter what, I must seize it in this lifetime. If my parents can't bear to part with me, then I'll just take them along. In the afternoon, while I was out running errands, I secretly had someone install a camera at home. I wanted to see if he would act differently when I wasn't around. On the camera, Reed Wong had just arrived home. Seeing I wasn't there, he angrily kicked my slippers away in frustration. Just then, a phone call came in. Jade, did your husband hit you again? Don't cry. I'm coming right over. Just like in the previous life. Jade Leong would frequently cry to him, saying her husband was an alcoholic who beat her when drunk. In the previous life, every time he went to see her, he would return very late, his clothes smelling of perfume. What woman suffering from domestic violence would still be in the mood to spray on perfume? I angrily confronted him, but he always said I was making a fuss over nothing. The boss has already talked to me, and I'll be taking up the new position next month. I need to hand over my work during this period, so I'm very busy. Seeing the caller ID showing Reed Wong, I shook my head with amusement. How could I have forgotten about him? What's up? I held the phone between my shoulder and ear, continuing to type with my hands. Nina son, are we doing this or not? Just give me a straight answer today. The background on the other end of the line was eerily quiet. Reed Wong usually doesn't take time off work just to scream at me like this. There must be something fishy when things go against the norm. I stopped typing on my keyboard and said to the person on the phone, hold on a second, I'll call you back. I opened the video recordings from the past few days at home, selected a few clips, and, no wonder, they even brought people home. Download and save. This lovely couple is really quite a pair. I went to a quiet place and called him back again. Reed Wong, we're getting divorced. The house is mine. Get out. After hanging up, she casually sent him one of the recorded videos. The phone rang again, with furious roars coming from the other end. Nina son, you set me up. The eerie sound pierced my ears, and with a snap, I hung up. The phone rang again. I picked it up and didn't wait for the other person to speak. Reed Wong, you two shameless jerks. How dare you accuse me of scheming against you? Your filthy intentions are written all over your faces. Who needs to scheme against you? Didn't you say you'd rather die than touch Jade Leong even if all women in the world were gone? What? Are all other women just men in your eyes? Let's divorce. The house stays with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind getting to know Jade Leong's husband. Without waiting for a response, I hung up immediately. A few years ago, Jade Leong looked down on Reed Wong, thinking he was just a penniless guy. He couldn't even afford to buy a house when getting married, so she married Zhang Wen, who owned a company. Later, after we got married, we had a house and even bought a car for daily use. Reed Wong must have said in front of her that it was through his hard work and struggle that he managed to buy it. After a night of inner turmoil, Reed Wong called the next day. He agreed to give me the house, but he wanted the car, and each would keep their own salary. The down payment for the car was only $30,000, and since I wanted a quick divorce, I agreed. In the afternoon, just as I arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau with my documents, I saw Reed Wong driving a car with a delicate-looking woman inside. Jade Leong. I raised an eyebrow and said to the two getting out of the car, "At the time of divorce registration, you can't possibly get a marriage certificate yet. You're in too much of a hurry." Jade Leong, with the air of a victor, looked at me triumphantly, then turned tearfully to Reed Wong and said, "Nina misunderstood me. You go ahead, I'll just leave on my own." Reed Wong glared at me fiercely, took her hand, and said softly, "Jade, it's too hot outside, don't get heat stroke, wait for me. I'll take you back when I'm done here." Only Jade Leong deserves his tender care. I'm a superwoman, I can handle anything, anywhere, all by myself, too lazy to watch their sweet affection any longer. After completing the registration at the Civil Affairs Bureau, come back in 30 days to collect the divorce certificate. I listed the house below market price. The agent called me, saying they took the key I provided and brought someone to view the house. There were people living in the house who refused to let anyone see it. I was furious and left work early to check who had the nerve to live in my house. The camera had already retired with honors when it was transferring action movies to him, holding the key but can't open the door. Bang bang. I'm banging on the door opened, revealing a delicate-looking woman dressed in a revealing spaghetti-strap nightgown. "Jade Leong, don't you have your own home? Why are you living in my house? Who gave you the nerve?" I had rushed over in such haste that sweat had soaked through my clothes, clinging uncomfortably to my back. "Jade, who's at the door?" Reed Wong came out wearing an apron, holding a spatula, and asked with a smile. The moment he saw me, his smile vanished instantly, and he coldly scolded me, "Nina son, we're already divorced, I don't want to see you." With a loud bang, he shut the door in my face. I was so angry I could only laugh. For 3 years of marriage, even when I came home late from work, I was the one who cooked. Reed Wong would rather go hungry than step into the kitchen, saying it's bad luck for a man to cook. Once, when I had a fever and was lying in bed too weak to move, he came back to find no meal prepared at home, didn't even ask if I wanted to eat, ordered takeout for himself, and ate alone. How could I have been so blind back then? Taking out my phone, I dialed the emergency number. "Hello, 110, I want to report a crime. Someone has occupied my house." "Okay, I'll wait." In less than half an hour, the police officers arrived. "Hello, officer, here are my documents, and this is my divorce judgment." The two officers reviewed the materials I provided and listened to my request. The officers knocked on the door again. Probably our voices at the door were loud enough. As this time Reed Wong came to open it, Jade Leong was already dressed, standing there looking delicate and fragile, with an innocent expression, as if putting on a show, though it's unclear who it was meant for. "Hello, this Ms. Nina's son claims the house belongs to her. Do you have any objections?" Finally, with the mediation of the police, they agreed to move out within 3 days. In less than a week, the house was sold. Carrying my suitcase, I arrived in the new city to take up my post. I rented a small courtyard within a 10-minute walk from the company. It's a bit expensive, but still acceptable after the salary raise. The courtyard is in the city center, offering tranquility amidst the hustle and bustle. With great surroundings, the neighbors are even better. Handsome. There's a handsome young guy living next door, 188 centimeters tall, looking like he works out regularly. On my first weekend living here, I hung my lace panties in the yard to dry in the sun. Everyone online says sunlight can kill bacteria on underwear. Who would have thought that in the time it took me to go inside for a cup of coffee, my panties would fly into the neighbor's yard, until a handsome, sun-kissed guy showed up at my door, slender, well-defined fingers hooked onto the thin strap of my black lace panties, holding them out in front of me, my face flushed crimson, my heart pounding as if it might leap out of my chest, and I snatched the panties in a hurry. As luck would have it, the thin strap accidentally tangled around his fingers. Flustered beyond measure, I fumbled to untangle it, my hands gripping his warm, long fingers as I carefully pulled the delicate strap free. Half a minute felt as long as a century. "Sorry, thank you." Finally able to relax, I picked up my underwear and turned back to the yard. Snap, the fence gate closed. "It's alright, things often get hung in the yard like this." A cheerful voice came from outside the door. I made up my mind never to hang my underwear outside again. Never in my wildest dreams did I expect. After returning to work on Monday, I brought 2 colleagues with me, arriving at the largest local conglomerate to discuss their advertising business for next year. The person who came out to negotiate with me turned out to be my next-door neighbor, that handsome young man, standing at 188 centimeters tall, Leo Gu, Nina's son. Several people from both sides shook hands politely, my face flushed red, and with a flicker of my beautiful eyes, I dared not meet his gaze. The secretary brought in some tea, breaking the awkward atmosphere. In the reception room, I opened the app and discussed with him the advantages of placing advertisements with our company. Presenting clear and logical arguments, once in my area of expertise, I temporarily forgot about the previous awkwardness. After a meeting that lasted over an hour, both sides agreed on the time for the next meeting. As I stood up, my legs were slightly numb, and wearing 8-centimeter high heels, I almost stumbled. "Be careful." A strong arm reached around my waist and held me firmly. "Thank you." My face turned red again. Haven't I been married before? What's the big deal? I despise myself. Received a call from an unknown number. "Hello, this is Zhang Wen, Jade Liang's husband. I apologize for disturbing you." The voice on the phone was deep and pleasant. "I know this Zhang Wen. He's in overseas travel. His career was thriving a few years back. Later, the 3-year pandemic hit, and the industry took a downturn. The double burden of company rent and employee salaries crushed him, so Jade Liang had to seek another way out." Just as her former admirer, Reed Wang, reappeared. Both were willing, he had feelings, and she was interested, so they hit it off immediately. If in his past life, Reed Wang had wanted to help Jade Liang, he should have divorced me cleanly and not caused the death of both me and my unborn child. Perhaps then I could have forgiven him, but he didn't. Instead, he blamed his own weakness and incompetence on me. How is that fair? Hello, I have already divorced Reed Wang. There's no need to involve me in their matters. I know he wanted to ask me if it was me who anonymously sent him the indecent videos of Jade Liang and Reed Wang. I've given you the stuff. What you do with it is up to you. In her past life, after Jade Liang found out she had cancer, Zhang Wen divorced her. This time, before even discovering any illness or going through a divorce, she had already cheated. See how the ruthless Zhang Wen deals with her and how he handles Reed Wang. Half a month later, the senior who had introduced me to Reed Wang called me. "Nina, I just found out you and Reed got divorced. A man named Zhang Wen just came to the company and beat him up, claiming to be the husband of the woman he had an affair with." The incident caused quite a scene. There happened to be an important signing ceremony at the company today, and it was completely ruined. He might end up getting fired. It's not necessarily that senior only just found out about our divorce, but more that Reed Wang lost face. "You could at least clean up better after sneaking around." I didn't comment on it, just made some small talk. Work and life here are both fine. Later, I heard Reed Wang was fired by the company. Jade Liang was also kicked out by Zhang Wen, leaving with nothing when they divorced. The couple didn't own a house, only a car, and Reed Wang couldn't find a suitable job for the time being. After getting together, they constantly argued over the house, money, and various other issues. Jade Liang couldn't stand living without money and was always giving Reed Wang a hard time. She neither cooked nor worked, spending all day in the rental apartment wearing pajamas, with disheveled hair and a sloppy appearance, just waiting for Reed Wang to support her. The former mistress has become a sticky rice ball clinging to him, and all those beautiful fantasies have shattered one by one. He slowly began to remember. My goodness. People are always so strange. What they have is often discarded like worthless trash. When lost, the heart aches with unbearable pain, filled with regret. Gradually, Reed Wang became unwilling to go home, preferring to sit idly in the car rather than face her. One day, Jade Liang went out to take out the trash and saw Reed Wang sitting in the car. She was still happy, thinking he had come home early and could start cooking sooner. As she approached, she instantly felt her heart shatter into pieces. "Reed Wang, you bastard, how could you do this to me? For you, I was kicked out by Zhang Wen without a single penny. You, after coming back, instead of returning home, you actually went to look at your wedding photos." Ah! Jade Liang angrily yanked open the car door, stomped her feet, and snatched Reed Wang's phone with both hands, throwing it far away. Tears and snot streamed down as her hands lashed out at the man's face. Reed Wang went from initial shock to astonishment, then to fury. His face stung sharply where he'd been scratched. He lifted his foot and kicked out fiercely, putting all his strength into the blow. In his rage, Jade Liang was completely caught off guard. never expecting that the man who had cared for her so tenderly all these years could kick her with such deadly force. She couldn't catch her breath and passed out cold. That single kick broke 3 of her ribs. It also shattered Jade Liang's heart, leaving her unwilling to acknowledge him any longer. No matter how Reed Wang apologized, she just wouldn't accept it. After Jade Liang was hospitalized, a man dressed in head-to-toe designer brands came to visit her with gifts. Reed Wang, his eyes bloodshot, grabbed her wrist and demanded, "Jade, who was that man who just came? What's your relationship with him?" Jade Liang frowned, gave him a disdainful glance, and sneered coldly, "Mind your own business. Who do you think you are to me? Jade, you can't treat me like this. I divorced for you. I have nothing left, only you." His face twisted in fury as he gripped her shoulders and shook her, desperately seeking her reassurance, loyal only to him alone. "Let go, Reed Wang, you're hurting me." Jade Liang's tears streamed down from the pain, her barely healed ribs on the verge of breaking again. The two tangled and pulled at each other in the hospital room until the doctor's arrival with a diagnosis interrupted them. "Jade Liang has liver cancer." It was like a bolt from the blue. Reed Wang borrowed money everywhere for her treatment, even sold his car in the end, but post-surgery care required even more funds. On a late autumn night, he abandoned her and secretly left, pulling out his phone card and tossing it straight into the trash. Under the double blow, Jade Liang quietly passed away alone in her cold, hard-rented room on the day she saw the snow falling. It wasn't until the landlord couldn't reach her and knocked on the door that they discovered she had been dead for several days. Reed Wang was drowning in debt, had a poor reputation in the entire industry, and couldn't find a decent job. In the end, he had no choice but to change careers. "I'd been thriving in my new job in the city, and by the end of the year, my performance was outstanding. Among all the newly promoted branch managers in the company, my performance was the best. Of course, the bonus was also very generous. At the end of the year, I was too busy to go home and could only call my parents. 'Mom, the company is so busy that we're only getting half a holiday for New Year. Why don't you and Dad come here to celebrate with me? I'll book your tickets.' 'Okay,' I cooed into the phone, pleading with my mother. 'All right then, we'll come over in the next couple of days. We can even get some New Year shopping done early.' Sun's mother hadn't seen her daughter since she left and was very worried. When their daughter left, she had just gone through a divorce. How painful that must have been. Now she's gone to a completely unfamiliar environment. As parents, all they can do is silently ache for her. In a hurry, Sun's parents packed some things to bring to their daughter and boarded the high-speed train. "Old Sun, if you see Nina, don't mention Reed Wang again." Mother's son reminded him once more. "Yes, I know." At the thought of that person, father's son gritted his teeth in anger. If not for his wife holding him back, he would have gone to give that guy a good beating, daring to treat his precious daughter like this. The small courtyard is brimming with the atmosphere of the new year, red couplets and lanterns. The elderly couple bought many colorful lights and strung them around the courtyard. I returned home under the cover of night, carefully admiring the yard before going inside and praising, "Dad, Mom, you just arrived yesterday and already managed to buy so many things at once. That's amazing." Mother's son busied herself with the sofa cushions, rearranging and adjusting their angles. "Your father went out this morning and asked a young man for directions when he saw him." Father's son, wearing an apron, bustled about as he brought dishes to the dining table. "Is my daughter back? Quick, change your clothes and wash your hands. Dinner's about to start." "Oh, and I've also invited someone to join us for dinner," father's son had just said. Ding dong, the doorbell rang. "Nina, go answer the door quickly," father's son called his daughter. "Okay, coming right away." I jogged to open the gate and was stunned by the handsome young man before me. It was none other than the 188 centimeters tall handsome neighbor, Leo Gu, Nina's son. "Hello." He pointed at his father who was serving the dishes and explained to me, "Your father invited me here. Leo, come in quickly, go wash your hands, we're about to eat." Mother's son walked out from the living room and called out warmly, "I'm speechless. They just arrived yesterday. What on earth happened? How did they become so familiar with the neighbors?" Many questions swirl in my mind, leaving me no choice but to greet him with half caution and half distance. Leo Gu very politely presented my mother with a bouquet of pink lilies and gave my father a bottle of some rare, aged liquor. The recipient of the gift was like two children, grinning from ear to ear with joy. I quietly watched everything. "Everyone, please sit down and try my cooking. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. Leo, if you're alone, you're welcome to join us for some festive fun." Dad raised his glass to clink with Leo Gu, while Mom and I drank juice. I remember before I got married, Dad would always say, "Sweetheart, when you get married, you must have your husband drink a few glasses with me. After marrying Reed Wong, I almost always went to my parents' house alone. I remember one time he came back with me, it was Dad's birthday, and he was so happy that day, smiling like a child. I specially opened a fine bottle of wine to share with my son-in-law, but Reed Wong dampened the mood by saying, "Dad, I have something to do later and need to drive, so I can't drink." My father's face immediately darkened, and he didn't drink either. The meal turned out to be dull and awkward, leaving everyone feeling unsatisfied. Just as I put down my chopsticks, Reed Wong left early, leaving me alone at my parents' house. When he came home late at night, we had a heated argument. The smell of alcohol and that familiar perfume on him made my blood boil with anger. "Reed Wong, do you even have a heart? You'd rather go out drinking with others than have a drink with my dad, is that it? What do you take me for? Am I just a neighbor to you?" Reed Wong staggered unsteadily to the sofa. His eyes glazed over. Clearly, he had drunk quite a bit. He spat a thick glob of phlegm onto the clean floor and sneered at me. "Nina son, stop arguing with me. I'm sick of you. Do you think I wanted to marry you? It's just that my family pressured me too much. I had no choice. What else could you be? You're nothing." The following muttering was completely incomprehensible. When he sobered up and I questioned him again, he flatly denied it. He swore to the heavens, saying his heart belonged only to me and so on. "Nina, what are you thinking about? Leo is toasting with you." My mother nudged my arm, snapping me out of my thoughts. From the moment he entered the room, I couldn't bring myself to meet his gaze, focusing instead on the slender, large hand before me. My face flushed involuntarily, that black lace panty tangled around that hand. "Don't think about it, mustn't think about it." I raised the glass of juice in front of me, the amber liquid inside making my hand appear as white and flawless as jade, utterly beautiful. "Nina, thank you for your warm hospitality." Leo downed the liquor in his small glass in one gulp, his deep eyes fixed on me as he turned the glass upside down to show me. Not a drop remained. "I have too much juice, can I just take a big sip?" I raised an eyebrow, gazing at the tall, upright man across from me, his flushed cheeks seeming both shy and provocative. A hearty laugh rang out, the man's handsome eyes crinkling with amusement. His long arm reached out to steady the glass of fruit juice in my hand. "You should drink less of that juice, it's too cold, not good for your stomach. Uncle was just saying you don't take good care of yourself and often get stomach aches." Seemingly echoing father-son's words, there was a hint of heartache in the tone. I shook off inappropriate thoughts, silently reminding myself that I was already divorced and being single now was just fine. When I spoke to him again, I actually felt more at ease. The meal came to an end amidst the clinking of glasses. Dad was drinking happily and warmly invited Leo to come tomorrow without fail. Mom also joined in with enthusiastic invitations. This person is a major client of our branch company, so I also had to put on a big smile and extend a warm invitation. I heard from Leo that all his family members are in Hong Kong City, and he's the only one here, same age as Nina, but really doesn't look it, seems more like a college student. I asked if he was married, and he said he didn't even have a girlfriend yet. He said he hadn't been here long and, apart from colleagues, didn't have many friends. My mother and father kept chattering beside me, as if they were talking to each other, but really, it was meant for my ears. I didn't respond, saying I still had work to do, and went back to my room. Seeing my parents' graying hair, a wave of guilt washed over me. At my age, I'm still making my parents worry about me. They never mentioned Reed Wong in front of me. They were afraid of touching a sensitive nerve and making me sad, seeing me alone and worried about me. They wanted to find me a man to rely on each other. "One Nina's son, this is Zhang Wen. I know you hate Reed Wong and Jade Liang just as much as I do. I just wanted to let you know that the person you hate won't have a good ending soon. Bye." It took me a long time to snap out of it after the call ended. I understood this seemingly nonsensical statement, because when I sent him the anonymous video, I had vaguely mentioned how to deal with them. Now it seems his plan has already yielded results. A year later, Reed Wong fainted and was sent to the hospital for examination, only to learn that he was already infected with AIDS. In the days that followed, he had no money, no wife, no children, and lived each day in constant fear, as if a year passed with every moment. And what about me? I thrived in my position as the branch company's general manager. One big order after another keeps coming in. I bought this small courtyard where I live, occasionally bringing my parents over to stay. "Nina, are you almost off work? I'm waiting for you downstairs." Leo Gu's cheerful voice came through the receiver. He had become my boyfriend. I'm very satisfied with my current life, so I keep postponing his marriage proposal. "Coming down right away." I closed the file and shut down the computer. At that moment, a long text message came through on my phone. Nina, I know saying I was wrong now is worthless, but I still have to tell you, I was wrong, truly wrong. I don't ask for your forgiveness. Only hope you'll be better in the future and never meet a man like me again. I want to tell you, Nina, I love you. I've always loved you. It was all that bitch Jade Leong who seduced me. I didn't continue watching and deleted it directly. Even now, this man still shifts the blame onto others, unwilling to take the slightest responsibility himself. In the previous life, after Jade Leong died, how he resented me, pushing me and the unborn child down the stairs alive. Nina, what's wrong? You look so pale. Liu Gu nervously grabbed my arm, placing a hand on my forehead to check my temperature. I'm fine, just tired from a busy day. I'll be okay after some rest. I looked at his handsome face and answered with a smile. No wonder everyone likes good-looking people. Just seeing them can lift your mood and add years to your life.